everybody. I think we
Hi.
would just hi. I think we would just start by saying like what our name is and our rising sign and sun sign and moon sign. So how about that? My name is Michaelin. I'm a Libra rising, Libra moon, and Aquarius sun. Michelle.
I'm Michelle. I'm a Leo sun, Aquarius moon, and Cancer rising.
Okay, Rozzy.
Hi, I'm Rozzy. I'm a Aries Sun, Aquarius Moon, Libra rising.
And Sandra.
Hi, I'm Sandra. I'm a Leo Sun and Moon and Gemini rising.
All right, Antoinette.
Hi, I'm Antoinette. I'm a Pisces Sun, Cancer Moon, Scorpio rising.
All right, and we've got Sydney.
Yeah, hey guys. Leo rising, Leo moon, and Aquarius sun.
And then, of course, we've got Damien.
Hey everybody, I'm an Aquarius Sun, a Leo Moon, and a Taurus Ascendant.
And the star of the show tonight is Kristin. Tell us your big three.
I am a Virgo Sun, a Pisces Moon, and a Virgo Ascending.
All right. Okay. Well, then let's get started.
Gosh, this is going to be interesting. Just sitting here listening to the distribution of energy. We've got an enormous amount of Aquarius, as always, and an enormous amount of Leo. So we've got a ton of fixed energy, and tonight we're all going to be focusing on this double Virgo with a ton of mutable energy in her chart. I was having a look at it when I was putting it together. There is a lot going on there, so this is going to be interesting. Very, very interesting.
Oh, I like being busy.
You like being busy?
I do. I don't like idle time. No, I don't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh, that is now. This is we're looking at. You can see the chart on the screen, everybody. That's everything's looking the way that it does. I do this every time, so don't worry. I just I don't know. I feel like everything hasn't set up. I feel like I'm starting Zoom for the first time every time I use it. But there's her chart this morning. Just going through the sign modalities up the top here, we've got 3 cardinal, we've got 2 fixed, and we've got 18 immutable. So when it comes to 18, when it comes to mutable energy, Kristin is one of the big hitters. I have not seen this much mutable energy in a chart before, so I'm very interested to start unpacking that.
Cool.
Elemental distribution is 4 in fire, 5 in air, 5 in water, and 9 in earth. So we've got a ton of mutable energy. We've got a stronger lean towards earth energy. So that's an interesting little paradox right there. Again, I'm keen to see how that plays out. Getting down to the house modalities, it just reinforces what we're seeing in the sign modalities. We've got 4 in cardinal, 1 in fixed, and 12 immutable energy. So, good Lord. Like I was saying right at the beginning, we've got all this fixed energy in the group, all this fire and earth energy, and Kristin. So, but
I roast people a lot, so I mean, what you're saying, good Lord.
Yep.
That's what they say to people.
Yep. Oh, good. So it's an amazing chart. It's going to be very, very interesting to work with. Kristin, I thought maybe just to kick off, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and what's brought you to this group today. You know, just the journey that's brought you to astrology, and ultimately led you here, I guess.
So I never really shared this with anybody, but back when I was like more in like 7th grade, 8th grade, I actually did do astrology and tarot. I did kind of put it aside because I kind of found my spiritual path on my own, because I'm a Christian, and that's okay if nobody's not on here, but that's okay. That's been my path for quite a while. So it's going to be corny though, because I am very big into horror movies, and I watched tarot, which is one that has to do with like doing a tarot reading, and they do all their signs, and then stuff starts happening based upon what this girl reads, because you're not supposed to read somebody else's deck. So I was like, oh, you know what? I haven't really, explored this in quite a while. And so, and I knew a little bit, and I started finding like an astrology group on Facebook, and then I was referred your course, and so I took your big 3 course. I'm now stuck in like the houses interpretation right now in your modern astrology course, and because it's a lot. So really, I've been trying to figure out my life purpose. I know that there's something for me. I feel like I'm in a town where, and I have no family in the town where I live. I feel like I'm somewhere, but everything else around me is not meant for me. But there's a little reason why I'm here, as far as like the really good job that I have. And so I don't know. And also I'm injured right now. I have plantar fasciitis. I got it a few months ago going on a hike, and I'm pretty athletic. So I was really surprised this happened. And so I've been telling, do you say how do you say it? McKellen? Or,
Michaelin.
Michael.
Michaelin, sorry. I haven't really had to pronounce
right.
your
That's
name
okay.
yet.
It took
I've
me
just
like 2
chatted with
months to
you,
get it.
so I told her I've been basically riding the pine pony and I need something to distract my time. So I've gotten really curious and I've really enjoyed what I've learned so far. And so that's kind of what brought me here. And she's like, oh, we have this group, we do these readings. And so I've become like a little sponge underneath her wing. So that's it. That's me. And that's how I got here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Are there any areas you'd like us to put a little more attention on today, or are we just sort of doing a general reading here? I think we're going to cover most bases, but are there some questions you might want to put focus on?
Well, definitely my purpose. That's definitely a big one for me. I think number 2, everyone's going to be curious about their love life, because I swear I'm dealing with Neptune retrograde and I just want to strangle it because it's killing me. It's not acting in my favor. So I would definitely say those big 2. There's probably other things I can't think of that I've brainstormed with my so-called leader there. So I can't remember the other ones that I told you. Those are the 2 that pop up on my head. Yeah, and I'm sure as you probably go over it, hopefully I'm going to learn things that kind of help me make sense of why I am the way that I am.
Sure.
So that's fascinating. You know, I was already fascinated that my sun sign and my ascending sign are just off by a little hair. That's it. Like they're almost aligned. It's crazy. So, yeah, that's what I can think of so far.
Well, you've already answered a question I had about that Neptune and some Jupiter down there in the 4th house. So you're talking about growing up in a Christian household.
No,
And you,
I didn't
sorry? Oh,
actually.
you didn't?
No,
Okay. So you found
So
Christianity.
yeah, so there was one time that I went to church with my dad, and it was a whole family thing actually. And this might be a little
Mm,
personal, but it's got to make some sense. I actually do remember going to Sunday school, but it's kind of actually how I got asthma was because my dad would always take us to 7-Eleven, get snacks, but not share them with the kids. So my mother kind of had to take it, get the food, and give it to us. But church never always brought back bad memories. So like we didn't want to go. My mom didn't want to go. And so I never touched it for years until I was 15, 16, to be honest. So yeah, I was not in a Christian household. That's the mind-blowing thing.
okay. So can I ask you, but you are Christian now, you've found Christianity?
Yes.
So, well, how did that journey happen? Something's obviously led you there.
Yeah, so it's actually something pretty cool. So on a Friday night, I was sitting at home watching, TGIF when it was around, and I had a girlfriend come over, and she's like, "Hey, my church is on a scavenger hunt, and we need someone that would not be readily going to church on Sunday." And I, actually asked like, "Well, what is this lock-in?" And basically it was somewhere where kids stayed up all night, was fed junk food, played basketball indoors in the sanctuary area, And pretty much like I gravitated towards it because I knew I was looking for answers and the people were really nice. And that's kind of how my journey started. And then I started going to church and being around these people and yeah, it took off after that. So but I was not anticipating going, to be honest. Like I was enjoying step by step and hanging with Mr. Cooper.
How old were you when that happened?
Oh, math. Okay. 1998. I was 13. So it had to be like I had I mean, I was probably 15. I was 15 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like 15 or yeah, I was 15 because yeah, like 15, maybe about to turn 16 because I graduated when I was 17 years old.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, that's interesting. I was just thinking about what you said, Antoinette, something that keeps coming up again and again, looking at the degrees of the sun on the chart, and she's sitting on 17 degrees here, and her ascendant is as well. So it all seems to be building up around that time in your life. Something that Antoinette brought to the chart reading group a couple of groups back is the degree that your sun sits on tends to be a peak time in your life where some major event happened that sort of creates trajectory for the rest of your life. That's correct, isn't it, Antoinette? Yeah, so maybe 17, 15's maybe that's when you joined the group, but around 17 when you graduated, maybe that's when it all coalesced and
It was probably before 17 because I was
yeah,
graduated at 17 and then I started college and then it was I was a week in and then
yeah,
it was my birthday to turn 18. So it
okay,
was probably either 15 or 16 years old that
sure,
took
sure, sure,
place.
sure. Okay, well that's great. That's an amazing overview. Thank you very much. It brings us up to speed, I
Oh
think.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on in this chart when you look at it. There's some really interesting placements on there. Like we said, we've already seen there's a ton of mutable energy on your chart. Does anybody just from looking at the chart and from listening to what Kristin's had to say so far, has anybody had any insights from what they see happening on this chart here at the moment?
She's confirmed something for me. I was like, I wanted to see what she looked like before I said it because she has Venus in her first house. Because when I saw that, I was like, she's pretty.
Mm.
She's definitely got to be
Oh,
pretty. I tried to find
thank
pictures and I was
you.
like, yep, confirmed.
Oh, thank you. Very nice of
Another
you.
thing I was thinking about too, especially with listening with how you talk, you're direct in your speech, which I think shows up with your Mars being in your third house. But I think you also, because you know what you want and that's what you're looking for, so you're not shy about going about to get it, if that makes sense.
That's on point. Yes.
But I was also thinking, talking with, listening to you and Damien talk with that Neptune and Jupiter conjunction. I don't really see it more as spirituality, but maybe it's more of your trying to, how you say, um, create your dream home or create a dream situation for yourself, if that makes sense.
I,
Is there any this kind of work you're working towards for that?
You know, I've lived on my own since 17. And actually I'd only see my family twice a year for the holidays because it's kind of been centered around my sister. So actually I mean, and I love fall. I get geared up for fall. I print out a calendar. I plan out my few months of the fun things I like to do because I've had to create the holidays and the aura that I've wanted that I don't get to have with the family that I have. And I'm not really close to my sister or my mom. It's kind of an unhealthy dynamic, and it's been eye-opening the past few months. I've really started to see the programming that they have that is unhealthy, and now it's like I really keep myself at bay that if it starts to go there, I've really had to work on putting in my boundaries. Um, yeah, so I kind of feel like that little lone ranger, to be honest, like trying to find a home And I get adopted by a lot of people. I got adopted by you guys. So I get off by many people. So yeah, that's to explain a little bit of the background.
Let's roll back then. Let's just follow up on some of those points. And thanks, Razi. There's some really great insights here. It's really given us some direction in this. So you talk about a dynamic, and you also talk about how your sister drives that dynamic when you're at home. And what I'm seeing here is you've got Jupiter, the planet of expansion, growth, luck, etc., in Capricorn. There's your fixed energy on the chart. That's a heavy hitter planet, and it's right up there against Neptune, which is beliefs and values, imagination, all of that sort of stuff, and that's creating its own little dynamic down there. And then we've got these trines running up to Mercury up the top there. So how has that dynamic affected your communication style? When you're at home, how does communication work? Do you fight? Do you are you critical? You know, how does that happen?
Do you mean in essence of like interacting with mom and with sister around?
Yeah. How's that affected you? You've talked about a dynamic that happens in the house that seems to be driven by your sister. Could you maybe shed a little light on that if you're comfortable doing that, and maybe give us a little insight on how that's influenced or affected you, especially in terms of how you talk and communicate with other people?
Well, I've actually told people I don't have family because that I'm not close to them versus being judged by not being close to them. People always want to hear like, oh, are you close with your family? Because they're looking for someone family oriented. But because I don't want to go deep and share so early on, you know, about the dynamic that's there now, that I've told people, oh, I really don't have family. You know, they live far away, which that is true. They do live, you know, several hours away. So I tell people I'm not close to my family, because I'm really not. I'm more close to my friends than I am my family. I know that I can be vulnerable and up front with my friends versus getting judgment from my Libra mother, and having my Libra mother trying to run my life, even though I'm an adult and fully capable. So it really has to where I only talk to her once a week. I know that's what's healthy for me, and I have to really keep my ears open in the conversation. And if it goes down, you know, a not so great path, then I really have to, you know, have my boundaries there and be strong in them, because she's not. She doesn't have her boundaries built.
Sure.
So nobody cry, okay? Nobody cry. It's okay. It's okay.
We're all fire signs. We're all fixed signs. We're good. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, fire
Except
can
for
be
Antoinette,
emotional.
she brings the water every time we do this group. So don't
I'm
feel like
listening very.
you don't have to put a brave face on for us, Antoinette.
No, you
Yeah,
know
it's all right.
me.
Let it out. I'm a
That sounds
Pisces
like
moon. Let it
par for
out.
the course. We're good with that. I mean, ditto everything you said about family.
Yeah, that's right.
It's funny when you said my friends are my family, because she's got Cancer in the 11th house.
Yep.
And then she said her mom doesn't have any boundaries, and there's moon in Pisces.
In opposition to that sun.
Wow. I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Oh.
Yeah. And then she said, and then
ahead.
the moon and the sun are in conjunct. The moon and Venus. So yeah.
Mhm.
And just one more thing I noticed, the first thing you were talking about is your beliefs. And I looked at your nodes, and your nodes are in Gemini and Sagittarius. So that would speak about
I was
beliefs
really going
and
to talk about.
spiritual. Yes. Okay. I saw it. Okay.
I almost wrote you a note. I was like, please talk about the nodes.
Oh, we're going to go after that
I
north
don't understand them at all. I don't.
We will definitely go into that north node. That's the point of a yod. So that's going to answer one of your big questions about direction and purpose and all of that. So yeah, we will definitely be looking at that. just the finishing of what you were saying too, Antoinette, we've got the Sun in Pisces opposite a Moon in Virgo, so we've immediately got a conflict there, and you nailed that one, I think, with the dynamic between the mother and the daughter here, and they both square off down to those 3 planets in Sagittarius down the bottom there. Well, 2 planets and a south node as well. So that's where the pressure release happens for that dynamic, I guess, down there in the 3rd house. And again, it's all about communication. It's about figuring out who you are and what you want, and going out and being clear about all of that, which it sounds like you've done, and then enforcing boundaries, which you've done up there in the 12th house. So you've answered that question. It sounds like you've had to go out, you've had to go and find who you are, and build your own defenses and build your own communication style and enforce it, which you've done. And it sounds like you've done it in a great way too. I mean, you're using that Virgo energy when it comes to dealing with tyranny in any of its different forms. Virgo energy is excellent for that because it's critical, it's analytical, and it's very, very specific. It's hard to suck a Virgo into, an emotional debate or, into deep water when they don't want to go, if they can see what's in the water ahead of them. So you've definitely done that. Well, who wants to kick off with this North Node up the top here?
Antoinette.
No, not much to say, but I noticed, well, the first thing I look at is the Mercury is a chart ruler, and it's rule of the sun, and it's rule of the North Node. So there's many things that's going on with Mercury. So I usually
squares the North Node as well.
9th house.
Yes, it's right. This squares the North Node. So there's a whole pile of Mercury information here. But it seemed like in a past life, they had something to do with siblings or family and beliefs. And Mars also there is like, at the apex of a T-square shows that there was some kind of tension. And mother, when there's a full moon close to birth, it's like the parent who was more dominant would have been the mother. And so it has something to do with traveling or being in a foreign country, or maybe you were a nomad. I don't know what it was, but it was about seeing the big picture, and maybe you follow the belief system of your family. And in this lifetime, you're being asked to investigate for yourself what is rational and logical for you instead of just adopting a belief system. So because Neptune and Jupiter in the 4th house is like what you inherit from your family also. But I also see that the reason why you would probably want a mate is because they would be your religion, I think you believe very much in marriage and settling down and having a family. And I say that because, the ruler of your 7th house of partnership is in the 4th house. So you're looking for somebody who has these traits as well. And they would be a teacher, a philosopher, a guru of some kind, or maybe a religious person, like spirituality is very important to you, like what Rassi said. So that's how I just kind of quickly look at the nodes. So it had to do with education, information, and knowledge. Your past life, and you were probably in this. And then there's Mercury, the rule of the North Node, in the 12th house, where you're not sharing a lot of information about your purpose, or it's like it's spiritual, definitely, So you're gonna be there's a soul connection here that's very, very good, because Mercury has a trine to Jupiter, to the past life, and to the rule of the 7th. So there's definitely something. I think you're going to work out the nodes in this lifetime. I don't see this as the squaring the nodes as something bad. It's like it's like Mercury is going to be a mediator of some kind. I'm not sure how to say it, but it has to do with information, and the information that you you were growing up with, what you inherited from family, and know you're going to find out for yourself.
The one thing you said was interesting about the moon was I had to research it. The moon was it appears it was 99% full when I was born. It was 99% full. It was a full moon on, I guess, September 10th, but
Yeah.
September 9th was 99%. Someone said give a full moon. I'm like, wait, what? I was born on a full moon? No way. But it was 99%. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, close enough. One thing Antoine said that I thought actually was pretty interesting was that more than likely your partner is going to come from the church. And honestly, with Jupiter, when it comes to looking at Jupiter as a person, Jupiter can represent an older individual. It can also represent a person that is in power or authority. Also, because your North Node is in the ninth house, that kind of, for me, would also give a little bit more confirmation to you finding your partner within the church. Might be somebody who is actually, within the office of that church, pastor, deacon, priest, whatever, somebody who helps out in that. I was more interested because your north and south nodes are both at 0 degrees. So this is kind of like, to me, that looks like something that would be the beginning and the end of something. Like you're starting a new path into your spirituality and into your faith and into going into deeper into that thing that you love to do, which right now appears to be your faith in Christianity and pursuing that path.
It's interesting you say that because I've almost felt like I'm at a standstill in my faith. It's felt like a lot of guesswork. And I've always just felt this thing where you don't really know he's there until life happens. And then it's like, oh, he's here. Now I know he's around. Like I seem to go through a lot of things going on, like you said, transitions. Like it was last year where around late December, my car got broken into. I got a raise. I got let go at the beginning of the year. A month later, I find a job. I got to get my car out of the shop. It was madness. But I always seem to go through those transformations. But then when it hits my love life, and I'm at my age that I am, and I'm still single, then I start to doubt and my faith wanes. And I feel like actually I'm kind of further away from my spirituality right now. I definitely feel that pull, like that. I know I'm still connected, but I definitely feel a distance. So this is really interesting to hear the perspective.
I wonder if that's your Chiron also talking because it's right next to your North Node.
Ruled by Mercury, also at 0 degrees.
Oh, yeah. Wow. And so is her Pluto.
That's why, I mean, honestly, I've been confused about where this south node was, because on another chart it shows that my north node is in Gemini, but then it says like it's in Scorpio. It's like 9 and 2, and I'm like, I can't find a YouTube video.
You might be
Again,
looking at two
hands.
different house systems. You might be looking at Equal and Placidus. They're going to move things around. I think
I use mostly Placidus because of your course.
Placidus, if you're going to be looking at personality, Placidus is really your go-to and things like that.
Yeah.
You guys are all saying some really, really interesting and really on-point stuff from just looking at the chart without getting, direct confirmation from Kristin. I think almost everything's at the bottom in the bottom half of the chart, so your journey is going to be very, very personal, and we've talked about this at the beginning. I think probably the first major challenge that you're finding some traction with now has been finding your voice in your family, just finding your voice. This is a locomotive chart. That Mercury up there, your chart ruler, is pulling this whole thing along. I completely agree with what Antoinette says. I think when it comes to a spiritual journey and a spiritual purpose in this lifetime, I agree with Razi. This is a transitional life. This is a transformational life. It's been about, I think Antoinette brought up some points about maybe coming from a restrictive or a limiting family in a past lifetime and coming into this one and finding your own path, finding your own voice. You know what? You've got a lot of Sagittarius energy at the bottom of the chart. It makes up a lot of the mutability of what's going on. And the Sagittarius spiritually is the prodigal son. It's the one who goes out into life and basically burns all their bridges. And that's when they come back. And life truly begins, but they come back fully armed with the experience that they've picked up along the way. Yeah, your seventh house is empty. And I think what that means is it doesn't mean relationships are off the table. It just means they're not going to be a focus. And maybe you're thinking a lot about it now because, like you say, you're getting older. You've had such a personal journey for so much of your life. And it sounds like your feet have barely touched the ground as you've been moving at high speed, moving through everything. And you're maybe reaching a phase in your life where, because of your plantar fasciitis, which slows everybody down, once you get it, where you've got the time to start thinking about the things maybe you haven't thought about so much before. But you've got a seventh house that's empty. Gosh, it's an almost even distribution of Piscean and Aries energy in there too, anyway. So I don't know. I like what Razi had to say down the bottom of the chart there. We've got that Capricorn, which is leading towards, if you were looking at it as an indicator of maybe a potential partner, that's, that is somebody who's older. But it might also be somebody, one of the criteria that they might provide is not somebody who's going to limit you, not somebody who's going to put rules on you or slow you down, because that's not going to work for you. Not from what I can see going on in this chart. And that's it. That's a really, really difficult balance to maintain. Somebody who won't limit you, but somebody who'll give you whatever it is you're looking for. What are you looking for? I'm guessing you're not looking for security, or maybe you are looking for security. Are you just looking for love, or are you just ticking a box as a diligent Virgo might? What's going on there? What are you looking for?
So I mean, I definitely am looking for love. I've always wanted to get married. I actually was engaged once, but there were some red flags, and it was with a Virgo. And red means stop. So, you know what? Basically, I feel like the cornerstones, the things that I've wanted, like I wanted kids, and obviously that bus is passed. I always tell people I miss the bus. Sounds like a good analogy, anyways. But for this is something I've wanted since like my 20s. So I know it's not something that I just want in the spur of the moment to check a box. If it was just about checking a box for me, I would be married to the guy that was engaged, because for him it was checking a box. For him it was, what can I acquire next, without kind of seeing through the process of what's happening prior to it. Meaning he wanted to look at vacation home rentals, yet I hadn't even figured out how I was going to move across the state because he was in Florida at the time. So kind of like jumping the gun. It's like, all right, come on back to the stable here a little bit. So it's definitely been something that I've wanted. And this chart doesn't show it, but my black Lilith moon is actually in Aries. So it actually makes really big sense why I have been really having to work on getting super clear with my boundaries and my dating. I swear I keep getting avoidant guys all the time, and I wonder how many times I've got to learn the lesson. And so it's, I'm getting rid of them quicker, but I do like that assertive, direct energy that they give. But yes, when they start to control me and what I can say, what I can do, that's when I pull the trigger and I walk. So I don't like to take orders. I'll take recommendations and see if it's something that I can be worked with or middle ground, but I don't like to be ordered around. So yeah, overall relationships have been really big. I've wanted a family of my own, whether or not that has kids. I've always just seen having a partner as a tribe. I feel like I want to start my life, a whole new journey, but haven't got there because I'm back at the basics. I'm back at the beginning. And it's not about a title for me. It's not.
When you talk about being ordered around, being controlled and things like that, is that something that's happened 100% of the time, would you say?
In relationships?
Yeah.
In my dating relationships, I can look back at the last 4. I would say 3 out of the 4
Okay.
were the types. Yeah.
Let me put it to you this way. You've come from a household where your mother is very strong. We've established that. She's had a very powerful influence in your upbringing. So you've ostensibly come from a matriarchal home, you know, from a very strong home. Your 7th house is empty in a lot of ways, and you've got Black Lilith sitting in Aries up there in the 7th house. You're a strong, independent woman. You move when you want to move. You say what you want to say. I'm learning that as we go along through this. No reservations in doing that. So you do have very strong alpha energy in that regard. How you might experience, I'm saying this hypothetically, how you might experience being ordered around or people putting limitations on you might be more sensitive than what most people would regard as being things. I'm just saying this, like I said, I'm saying this hypothetically. Maybe you'll hit a wall faster than other people will because you're independent, you're strong, you convey that. And I think Michael told me you're quite tall as well. How tall are you?
I'm 6 feet tall.
6 foot tall. Okay, so but you potentially
Yeah,
even
so
intimidating to a
I can
degree.
scare them just by my
Yeah,
height
yeah, yeah,
alone.
yeah, absolutely.
Right,
Yeah,
but yeah,
and you've come
the
from a
controlling
dynamic that's
yeah.
you've come from a family and a dynamic that's controlling and smothering. So your break point for control might be more sensitive than other people. That's one thing that I'm putting out there. Your red flags might go up just a little quicker than other people's might.
They go up. Actually, I regret it with the last person,
Yep,
and I'm sure there's very lovely Aquariuses, but he was an Aquarius,
they're
and
bastards.
I noticed it within the second date. And the thing is, I didn't go with my gut. Um, I'm I'm having to learn to not ask 50 different people to go with my gut. Uh, and I always wondered if it was just kind of biased because of my experiences, but I knew it in the second date because he didn't ask me any questions except how are you? And um that I should have kicked it then and I didn't. But it only lasted 2 months and I didn't get together with him, but when you're controlling what stories I can share about myself that are funny, I could tell you the story if you wanted to know it, but it's very funny and it made him actually look good too. Then that's where I draw a line. Or as an extrovert, I recharge by going out. So sitting at home here on my butt
Mm.
is mentally getting to me. Um, but I like to recharge by, going out and watching a sports game at the bar. And that particular person, because he was cheated on 20 years prior, um, obviously he tried to carry that over and tell me I can recharge at home, but I can't recharge when I go out in public. And that's where I draw a line too, like, no, that's not acceptable. So that's the type of controlling that I've experienced. That's not okay with me.
Okay. That's a lot of information in a 2 month period. So you're definitely going in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of information to learn about for somebody in 2 months.
Oh, I mean that those are different people. Like
Okay.
those controlling behaviors were from different people.
Mm,
But the one about the, who I could share my golf story to, that was from that person. Um, and I noticed too that I try to manage because I'm a Venus Libra, right? Tomorrow's my return.
okay.
But I noticed that I don't know how to navigate different moods. And so that was another thing I noticed. I need to learn boundaries. I'm not here to manage your moods. Um, but that's that peacemaker, like trying to keep that harmony. When really that's a signal of someone's not emotionally regulating themselves in a healthy way if they're gonna snap at you and things like that. So I had the signs, but should have pulled it quicker. Yeah.
Always trust your gut with that moon in Pisces.
I'm working on it. I'm doing it now.
Because it's
Got the
highly
time.
sensitive, highly intuitive, and
Yeah.
it's there every day, like it's in the 6th house. It's part of it's healthy to listen to your gut and work with your gut. So, and I noticed too when I'm looking at this chart that your Venus is squaring Jupiter. So some of these men are from past life, probably. you know.
Well, I
But
guess they liked me a lot to come back again.
because you have something to learn from them. It's
I
just
guess
lessons.
so, man.
Yeah, but once you learn, and this year we're having eclipses in Libra and Aries. So when we have the eclipse in Libra, your Venus is going to be at 10 degrees the eclipse on the 2nd of October, and it's going to be right on top of your Venus. So it's going to take away and clean up everything that was karma for you or past life or contracts that you had with people. And it should give you a new lease and a new start, because this year you're 40 and I checked your perfections, which is what you're supposed to be paying attention this year, and it's the 5th house, the 5th house of love and romance.
Oh.
So everything is, and then next year the nodes are going into Pisces and Virgo. So everything is getting prepared to get you where you want to go in love. Trust me.
All right. All right. Well, I'm learning these lessons. I'm hiring slow and firing fast.
Because Mars is also in Sagittarius, and Mars is like the male, the men, and Jupiter, you know. But I figured you'd be tall, because when I looked at that Jupiter, I said, this man of your dreams, you know, because he's going to be tall. He might be a basketball player. He's skinny.
Oh, I played basketball.
And I didn't know you were tall. So it's like, I love Jupiter. You know, I just love Jupiter. And he might be foreign.
Okay, it might be foreign.
Could be. It's always that possibility.
Now, foreign is in like born in a
Sagittarius.
foreign country, or just from a different town, or is it open to interpretation?
Open to interpretation, but for me, I've always seen it to be foreign. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say astrology is all open to interpretation, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But sometimes you feel a thing, you know, and you have to say it too. That's my problem. I'm too subject with my interpretations. I mean,
You're so right.
could be a different state, yes.
Even if your chart's telling you to do something, one of the most amazing things about human beings is their ability to just not pay attention.
Not in love, honey. We don't want to pay attention all the time.
That's true.
No, that's true.
What are the green dashes? I've seen them, but I don't know what they are. And the aspects, I have not even touched those yet.
Those are called quincunxes. They're green lines running up there. You notice your north node at the top there. You've got 2 quincunxes pointing up there, and then you've got those linked to Pluto and to your Neptune down at the bottom of your chart. A quincunx it's considered one of the more challenging aspects. It's more about compromise. It's more about learning how to integrate energies. And those 2 there form your yod. A yod is what they call the finger of God. It's one of the more powerful placements that you can see on a chart, but it's not something that everybody takes advantage of. Probably 80% of yods are squandered in a lifetime, if you look at it. A lot of charts for very famous, very influential people, you'll see yods on their chart and they point off to particular areas. But that also means people have got yods on their own charts that aren't famous, aren't influential, but they're doing great and powerful things within the space of their own lives. For you, your yod is pointing up to the North Node, right up there at the top of the chart. And the North Node's really about growth opportunities. It's about opportunities in this life and even the next lifetime as well. It's about spiritual path, growth, direction, all of that sort of stuff. And it's interesting because it shares a house with Chiron. So it's like saying, you know, this is where your big purpose is here, but you're going to be a little fearful of it. There's going to be the expectation that it could be a painful process, and that may hold you back. The interesting thing is your 4th house, your Neptune and your Jupiter, by extension, make up 1 point at the bottom of that yod. And we've got Pluto in the 2nd house in Scorpio. It makes up the other point. So for us to really understand how that yod's going to play out in your lifetime, how you may access that energy and things like that. We really need to understand how to get the energy of those two placements at the bottom of your chart working together, if that makes sense. Yeah. Did that give you a bit of insight at least? I think we were analyzing your North Node before without really talking about what it is or what it does and so on. But does that at least answer that question?
Yeah, because I mean, at least as far as I know, starting with the placement, I was
Yeah.
confused because I thought it was actually in Scorpio versus being in Sagittarius.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a YouTube video on it. I'm like, I want to
Sure,
learn
sure,
something, and I
sure,
couldn't find
sure.
anything.
Well, the interesting
Um,
thing, whenever I see a yacht on a chart, what I look for is aspects running off it. One of the interesting patterns you can see a lot of the time is if you look at a yacht as a point where compromise needs to be made in your life, if you look around for what's leading off that quincunx, then that can often tell you. And what we can see from that one leading up to the North Node from Jupiter down the bottom is you have a square running from the North Node off to Mercury, but you've got a trine running from Mercury down to your Jupiter down there at the bottom of the chart. What that's telling me is it's in order for you to start accessing that North Node energy, it's not something you're going to be able to think your way around. It's not something you're going to be able to talk your way around. You're going to have to find some sort of balance and some sort of understanding with your sister and with your mother. In order to be able to shake off whatever limitations there are that are stopping you from accessing that energy at the top of the chart. Or at least find some middle ground. Maybe you've found it now with the ability to draw boundaries and things like that. But I don't know if being able to create boundaries is the end of your journey there. At least in terms of growth and things like that. You were talking about relationships before as well and people that you've met. And it sounds like you've got boundaries there too. It sounds like you may have boundaries in a lot of parts of your life. Maybe for such a mutable person, you might have you might need to find a way to negotiate and move. Maybe those boundaries are slowing you down in a regard. I don't know. But everything in this chart for me, when I look at it in terms of growth, when I look at it as a locomotive chart, everything in your chart's pointing to that Mercury in the 12th house, which is a tough place for Mercury to be.
oh, poor Mercury.
Well, in that regard, Mercury's about communications, things like that, while Mercury in the 12th house is so private and it can be oh God, it's like the melting point of the houses. Everything begins and goes through a cyclic journey, and then it ends in the 12th house and dissolves so that it can begin again. And in a lot of ways, it feels like this is what this journey is about, especially with that sun sitting right there in 17 degrees in the 12th house. It's definitely a very, very karmic chart in that regard. You've built a lot of fire and a lot of strength. Sorry, Sydney, were you about to say something there?
Yeah, it's regarding something that you said. I have, I don't know if it's opposing, but it might be slightly opposing to one of the points that you said. I think because she has such a mutable chart, I think she has learned to build those boundaries to kind of balance herself, because I feel like she might, as she was younger, she might have been easily pushed around.
This is the boundaries thing has been something that I have it's led up to this.
Yeah.
I didn't really start digging into well, I wasn't taught how to have boundaries. Well, what do those look like? How many red flags before I pull the trigger? And it just happened. I found a book probably like a month or two ago. And exactly. So it's really something that it's just been recent, probably as of like 1 to 2 months. Kind of after this last experience, I'm like, okay, didn't have as good boundaries as I thought. So now I'm having to get really, really crystal clear. And I'm really trying to embrace that Mars in my 8th house, because I know the type of people I'm attracting, which matches with it. but obviously with someone who has loose boundaries, I can get railroaded, you know. And my mom, actually, that's the thing, is I will call her out now if she tries to bulldoze through my boundaries, because I won't allow her now. So I've actually, over time, probably the past few years, I've been working on trying to find my voice.
Yeah.
I used to be like, emotions, no, don't want to deal with them, no, just, it's too much. And now, you know, over the past 3 years, it's been like, okay, what is that feeling? Let's give it a name. How does it feel like in my body? Which that's still a struggle for me, because I'm very literal. But then how do I convey it? And I always kind of wondered, at least from after seeing this with Pluto in my second house, I was wondering, because I have to really try hard to have tact. I don't want to have tact. People love my unedited version, and I tell them grab the popcorn, and they love it, but there's no way I could really actually like pull it off without doing some damage, right? So I really have to still work hard with tact. It's not my strong suit, to be honest. I'd love to be able to just be a straight shooter and tell it like it is, and you know, people actually face the fire. You know, because my mom doesn't like to take responsibility when she messes up, and the people that I've dated don't like to take responsibility, and that gets underneath my skin so bad when they don't want to accept responsibility.
Well, everything starts at home, you see. So that's why you're with these men who basically just extend what happens when you were young. So you attract these people because you think that these people feel like family, look like family, they treat me the same way mom treated me, and then they said, oh my God, something is wrong. This narcissism started at home. Yes.
The dad.
Then
dad's the narcissist, the mom is the codependent. But yes, you're right. You're right. As far as that regard, you're really right on that.
The Virgo sun is going to help you to discern.
I'm using my gut.
And then that Mercury as well, that Virgo Mercury too. I agree with what you're saying, Sydney. I think the development of boundaries is going to be a critical part in the development of the spiritual journey. But this spiritual journey wasn't to learn boundaries. The boundaries are there to help begin this journey, I think.
To shape her, yeah, for sure. It's not her
exactly.
goal.
And and it's helped her to resolve what's happening down there in that fourth house. And what you're saying is, you know, about being a straight shooter, is you've had to learn to pull your punches, and had to learn how to resist the urge to just basically go on jackboots, and all of that Pluto in the second house there too. And that's what I'm saying. Those are the 2 points that you're going to have to work with and manage and balance if you're going to start accessing that yod, that north node and things like that. With the way your Mercury is placed, with that square that's running from Mercury in the 12th right up there to the north node in the 9th house, you're not going to be able to talk or think your way through it. You need to do the work. You've been given Virgo to do it, so you can figure out what all the components and all the moving parts are. And it sounds like you're already doing it. You're developing your boundaries. You're learning how to control the way you communicate with other people and things like that, because that's having undesirable results and creating limitations in your life. And that's what I mean. I think by doing that, you're going to be able to begin to start working with that North Node energy. It's not there by default. It never is with a yod. A yod's a difficult placement. You're given a lifetime to figure it out.
Oh, Lord.
Well, you're doing great. You're doing great. That's it. You've already, in your own words, in your own language, you've said that you've already done the research, and you've learned experientially that these are parts of your life that you need to exert control over. And at the end of the day, too, the more you're talking, it's sounding too like a lot of those boundaries that you're learning, you're starting to apply to yourself as well. And for somebody whose planets are all in the personal range of the chart, then that's extremely important. That's extremely important. You're not going to get the opportunity to play nice with others until you learn how to play nice with yourself.
Oh, wow. That's because I'm actually trying to work on the self-love. It's funny with having Venus and Libra. Yeah, that's something I was not shown. I feel guilty about making purchases that are luxury versus necessity. Still to this day. because I was raised to look at things frugally, or just, is it a need or is it want? If it's a need, then go for it. If it's a want, can you wait on it? Can you tell yourself? I can tell myself no. But to show that self-love without guilt. So I've been embracing a little bit of the lightness of my pocketbook during Venus time right now, and taking care of myself. But yeah, that's one of and I really would love to learn how to have that Aries perspective on self-love, because they're very good at it. They have this unwavering, unshakable confidence in that regard, or that self-love. And yeah, that's
I
what
can
I'm
answer
still
that. You just got to be selfish. That's it.
That's
Put your own
and those
mask
are the
on,
introverts I
put
attract, are the
everyone
selfish.
else's on. That is the first thing they tell you when you get on the airplane. You put your own mask on first, and then you put someone else's on.
We're talking to Venus in Libra, who's a peacemaker, who wants to do things for people, and it's hard.
You're all that. It's you. Treat yourself.
I know, I'm doing it right now. I got a really good excuse, and I'm really embracing this Venus return, because it's I don't feel guilt right now, which is very odd. And I never knew about Venus return until a few days ago, and then I found out Venus will be matched up with mine tomorrow. I don't remember what time, but it's gonna be matched up tomorrow. I'm like, great, I already had my hair done. It's getting done tomorrow, and I didn't even know it. The one thing about this node, though, that I am curious about, because you said I can't think my way through it, and I can't think my way into it. The one thing I always struggle with is that when reality does not match what I'm told. And I think that's always been the one hurdle with my spirituality, is that there are times where it's like, I have to believe that it's mine, and yet it's not there right now. Like, it tangibly is not there. And so I kind of wonder if what you're referring to, that I can't think my way through it, is like, it's not a switch. It's what are the other
I think,
options?
look, when it comes to the difference between intelligence and faith, for me, is intelligence starts from the problem and works to the solution, while faith starts with the solution and works to the problem. They go in different directions from each other. Um,
Oh.
when you experience love, you can't experience it in the mind. It's something you feel or you don't feel. The more you try and rationalize love, the further away from it you get. And that's what I mean, and with the way that you approach your spirituality too. I don't think you can intellectualize your way through it. You're going to have to learn to. You got this interesting Pluto Moon energy in your chart, and it keeps coming up again and again. So let's have a look at this quincunx again. You've got your Virgo down there. Sorry, your Venus down there in your first house, which has a quincunx running off to this moon. So maybe I'm reaching a bit on this, but maybe your relationship with your mother has made you uncomfortable accessing that emotional energy and working from that point of view, and you've become very evidence-based. You always lean more into this Virgo sun in the 12th house. That would make sense. That's a basic survival skill based on the story that you've told me. But we've got this quincunx here, and it's got a square running up to Chiron up there in the ninth house, having the expectation of pain when it comes to exploring your own spirituality, especially when it's ruled by Mercury. Its planet is Mercury because it's in Gemini. It's going to make your emotion seem like something that's that's unreliable to you. That's something that you can't go to. But you've got this Venus energy in your first house, and you've got to find a way. In order for you to work with that Chiron up there in the ninth house, you need to find a way to balance this this Venus energy in your chart. One of the interesting things you tell me, because I keep getting this contradiction between somebody who's very, very strong and somebody who's struggling to learn how to love herself and be open with herself at the same time. That's not uncommon in itself, but for you, especially with how powerful your placements are and how clear your placements are in your chart, they seem almost polarized from each other in a way. And maybe that for you, a lot of your spiritual growth is learning how to balance those 2 points out, you know. And it sounds like you've been doing the work on Pluto. I think what you're talking about, I think Pluto's the key to a lot of that, and your relationship with your family has got a lot to do with that. So the fact that you've been able to exert a level of control over that dynamic in your family, I think has allowed you to take your finger off the trigger a bit with that second house energy. And I think that's allowing you to work more with that 12th house. But it's interesting, and this comes up again and again, and this is based on the question that you've just asked. It feels like in a lot of ways, maybe for you, and we see this a lot in charts. When we start doing karmic work, and we've been doing this in a lot of previous groups before, we see that you've been given a goal in this lifetime and you've been given obstacles to stop you from achieving that goal. Your 9th house is that North Node and Chiron are both in Gemini, which means you've got to do the Mercury work. You know what I mean? And that's in your 12th house, which has got those positive aspects running off down there to Neptune and to Jupiter in the 4th house, which says that if you're going to do your work with Mercury and developing it in this lifetime, then your teachers are going to be your mother and your sister. You're going to learn from them in order to do that, because they're the most positive, most powerful aspects running off to your Mercury up here in the 12th house. Everything else is running red at the moment, which means that you're going to have a hard time accessing that other energy or integrating it in a worthwhile and easy flowing sort of way until you've found a way to do that. Now, like I was saying before, I think your boundaries that you're putting down now are the beginning of that journey. You know what I mean? And I love the fact what you said, you've been able to call your mother out now on her bullshit when it happens sometimes. That is such a powerful, powerful sign that you are taking control of your destiny and that you are establishing your own personality. The most difficult people to do that with are your parents, especially when the relationship is toxic. Mine is exactly the same, believe me. And so, you know, my relationship with my mother has been extremely complicated and extremely negative in so many ways. So being able to find your voice, stand your ground, and call them out on stuff is one of the most courageous acts when it comes to protecting yourself. It's not
It's
easy.
why we all came to astrology.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly why we all come here. You know, if we look, there's 2 types of astrology. There's the personal stuff where, you know, you're going out and you're trying to figure out, you know, hey, how do I love myself better? How do I get better stuff? And then there's the other type of astrology. How do I stop my life from burning down? You know what I mean? And a lot of the time when we get to groups like this, discussions like that, we're in the how do I stop my house from burning down cohort, because we've been given these obstacles that are so overwhelming so early in life that we've had to explore out of the box options in order how to exist and grow and move forward. Yeah. So I think that's what that's saying. You can't do the work by yourself. You've got all this energy down the bottom of your chart. So, and you're so independent and you're so strong. I can see how it's going to take an incredible guy to work for you, because your criteria is so strong, and in so many ways you're so hyper aware of boundaries and limitations and red flags that somebody's going to have to be extraordinary in order for you to do that. I dare say that in order for you to be right for that person, you're going to have to be just as extraordinary. That's the way these things work. You know what I mean?
No pressure.
Yeah, well, no, but that's the way it works. If damaged people always find damaged people, growing people always find growing people, and healthy people, whatever they are, I don't know how many I've met, always seem to find healthy people. You know what I mean? Healthy people only choose people who aren't as healthy as they are to help them. You know what I mean? But there's something I read a while ago. We always, oh no, that's not what I wanted to say. What I'm trying to say is, in order for, I think you need to do what you're doing now, which is start creating boundaries, but you've got to find a way to grow beyond that. That's not where your journey ends in this lifetime, and not with Mercury. That's where it begins. You've put boundaries down and you're starting to figure out who you are. You're finding confidence, you're finding courage in yourself. And I think by doing that, you may learn how to be kinder to other people as well. That straight up the guts approach you have, where you're very direct and very sharp with people, it could be a self-defense mechanism. you know.
I'm very bubbly usually. I mean, at
Yeah.
work, I mean, I roast people, they roast me. I mean, a lot of them are former military, so you can joke around with
Sure,
them.
sure.
So I have running themes and jokes with them. And I mean, honestly, when I approach people online, I do like to playfully roast them to see if they have any confidence, and I like to try to get them to qualify themselves
Sure.
so that you know, to see if whether or not they're really attuned to the conversation. But yeah, I do get bored very quickly if the conversation, there's no curiosity with coming towards me, because that's like I basically took the past 3 or 4 people that I was with, and I listed the commonalities between them all. And you talked about, or no, it was, oh gosh, I can't see her photos. I only see 4 people. Let me see if it'll make it bigger. I don't remember her name. Tarot and medium. That's what your screen name
Antoinette.
is. Maybe it's
Antoinette.
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 Okay. Yeah, Antoinette said is that I keep going for the familiar, and that's what I recognize when I did my patterns of the past several people that I had dated. Is this is my familiar, and now I've done it to where I'm trying to get the exact opposite. If someone shows me any of those things, I'm gone. So I'm trying to get the unfamiliar so that it shakes me up. And then I have to embrace that and something new. So that's what I've had to do, to not get the familiar, because I don't want it to keep repeating. I want to learn my lesson. I'll be done with
I
it.
would- Can I,
because
can I,
Venus is having a return. Venus return. You will love yourself, and then
getting a restart.
you know, I know Michelle is coming in with. Let it go. Yeah, let's hear.
Sorry. Sorry, I just, something Damien said when he talked about you are very, what I see in your chart is incredible strength with all your Mars actually is like bringing in a lot of heat, I see. And with your double Virgo, I mean, you're exact, you know what you want, you're super intelligent. And to his point, you're going to need someone who is like next level. You need someone so smart and strong and capable. And so you have to do what is the opposite of what you've been doing, as you just said. And also, I would stress you with that Venus in the first house, looks are probably very important to you, possibly. And
I mean, I would say for anybody, you got to be attracted to them. I mean, if they're not attractive, I think they get put in the friend zone. I mean,
correct. But I would say, you know, once you're, this isn't a popular, I guess,
Opinion.
opinion. Yes.
Yeah.
But once you're over 40, the market for looks in men, present company excluded, is not what it used to be. And so if you're in online dating and you're looking for the hot guy, you are not going to find the diamond in the rough. You are not going to find the guy who's going to treat you like gold. And you need someone, I think, who really is going to treat you like gold, who's soft to you, like a strong person, but treats you with a softness because of that Venus. You're in love with love, and you want to be, I think you want to be with someone who treats you with what you really needed in your childhood that you never got. So you have all that strength. And what I see too, though, as Damien had said something about your Mercury in the 12th house, what's in our 12th house oftentimes will get repressed or blocked. And what also happens when you are in a narcissistic relationship is they put words into your head. So what I see potentially happening to you is you got a loop in your head that's telling you you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not whatever enough. So that's blocking that ability to tackle your own self-love, even though you come across as amazing and confident, and you are, and you got all the stuff. You're like on point, but there's this block in your subconscious mind that's telling you you're not. And it was put there, unfortunately, very likely by people who you loved very much and trusted. And that makes it even harder to break. So in my experience, the ways to that is like hypnosis, EMDR, tapping, to some degree, if you've ever heard of tapping, emotional freedom technique. But really what you want to try to do is get to the subconscious stuff that's blocking you, which is I'm almost certain is there, because anyone who's been raised by a narcissist has their words stuck in your head. And you can achieve all you want, but you want to be able to tackle that. And then there was something else I noticed. You mentioned you just found a book, and Saturn in the 3rd house. I had read something about Saturn being how we, so Saturn in your 3rd house is how you seek your spirituality, how you do sort of your spiritual work. And 3rd house to me would be like communication. So books, I think, really are going to probably be transformative for you.
I read a
Yeah,
lot.
so I do think that that's going to help propel you toward your, your North Node, because you're going to be learning about spirituality and growth through that mode, potentially. And one other thing, sorry, just one more thing. I'm brain dumping everything. You said you had plantar fasciitis. That's
right now,
Pisces moon. Pisces rules the feet and the ankles. So I know so many people with Pisces energy that have foot problems. So just a note, this isn't probably like a freak thing. It might be something you want to attend to, like really, make sure you treat your feet extra kindly.
Oh yeah,
because
no, I go to a physical therapist. Yeah, so I actually went to a physical therapist. I'm doing stretches and strengthening, but looking at my transit chart, it's all saying that I'm supposed to be doing introspection right now, which is what I'm doing, hitting the pine pony.
It knocked you out.
Yep, it knocked me on my feet. I'm forced to have to do it, and it's funny because I do go to therapy. And I always ask for homework. So I'm reading this book, Set Boundaries, Find Peace. Really good book that actually teaches you what boundaries are. What does a violation look like? What do you do when there's a violation? And then I'm also reading the 4 Agreements. So I like to get homework so that I'm always working on something, because I don't want to go into therapy and just have it be a dump session of here's my problems, which I mean that's what it's there for, but just I want to know that I'm growing as a person and I'm getting better, right? But you definitely did hit on something with Mercury in the 12th house about the narcissist and not being good enough. I mean Virgo, perfectionist. I mean it was, I mean, I would definitely say when you did things like you got good grades, like, so your actions were praised. And that's what creates that cycle, like, hey, I can stay on my mom's good side if I'm the good kid and I do really good in school. But it was my choice though too. Like I was like, I want to be like this celebrity, and they had really good grades, and that was my drive. And so, and I don't regret it. But the not good enough, it's a theme, not only because of, and again, it's personal, but that's okay. Like I've already dealt with the stories or the facts of it, but Dad didn't want me.
Oh, there you go.
Dad set up my mom on an errand, and the next thing I know, she's at an abortion clinic and he's trying to get her to go in with me. But then also too, like, oh, but he wants to name me. Why do you want to name the kid that you want to get rid of? Huh?
Yeah.
So, giving up your rights. And so he's been way out of the picture for a long, long time. But to have that, and then to see in these familiar relationships of people not fighting for me, like, hey, I'm asking, hey, this is a need that I have, and they don't want to meet that need. They want to go by the beat of their own drum, and they don't work through it. They don't see that I'm worth it. And then that's how I've built my worth, that I have to somehow figure out how to rewire, is that if someone doesn't want to fight for me, then as Aries says, fine, so be it. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but but it's okay if that person doesn't see that you're not, but you're still enough regardless of what this person's opinion is. And so I'm trying to figure out how to build that, because affirmations without something tangible go in, go out, and sometimes they stick, sometimes they don't. So I would love to figure out.
That's why I mentioned the EMDR. So EMDR, are you familiar with that as a concept?
I have been familiar with it. My sister actually had it done on her by someone who said they were licensed, they were not, and
Oh.
unfortunately she's become schizophrenic.
Oh my
And
goodness.
she hears her own voice as a little girl in her head. So I will be honest, I'm afraid to do it. I've had a therapist try to do it to me, but it has to be done in a moment where I'm very heightened by my emotions, and I'm never there because by the time I'm getting there, I've already had to deal with it and work through it. So I'm very scared of doing EMDR because I know I'm not meant to open Pandora's box.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say that is because you're knowing that your father potentially at one point was not wanting of you is a very traumatic, that like you got to get that out, because there may be some truth to that, but you're meant to be here. And so
According
the
to my
fact
chart,
that,
yeah.
well, absolutely, and to kick butt, like you have way too much power. You were supposed to be here. So, but I think I mean, if you just think about that, what that does to you, I was told I was supposed to be a boy, and that got me in a really crazy headspace where I never felt good enough. So we all have some, those things that we're told, unless you tackle it. And that I did do EMDR with someone who was a really good therapist, and she brought, we established a relationship first and had rapport. And so I think there really is like a process to that for sure. But we tackled that belief, and now I don't have, like, it doesn't bother me anymore. Like, oh, well, I'm a girl and I'm killing it. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I feel like that just resonates so much with me that I feel like that would be your block. And the other
you're
thing,
right. Yeah. And
the other
I think
thing
my
about
second block, yeah.
the boundaries is, and I've seen this myself as well, sometimes when you're focused heavily on boundaries, and Damien alluded to this as well, especially when you have all that Virgo, is the boundaries are kind of acting like blocks, and you're first trying to use them, and so sometimes you're using them potentially too frequently, too fast. And so some of the people who might be a decent match for you might be, being pushed away because you're trying so hard to have the boundaries. And you're mutable though, so your whole life you have been
It's
you've been
calibration. I'm still
flexible.
learning the
Yeah,
calibration.
exactly. Yeah. So,
I
but I
didn't have
think
it
just
before,
having,
now I'm doing it now. And but I mean, I know from my experiences though that I'm always open to a conversation.
Mhm.
So that's what I've always think. If a partner comes to me, express their needs, I'll definitely sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah.
I think in the aspect for me, it's when I'm asserting a boundary and obviously they don't like it and tough, like it's not there for you. So it's, and then like I was telling you guys, like that book, like the backlash, how do you deal with that, so really it's more or less, it's to know my boundaries for myself.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's all very interesting. And the reason why I asked about the relationship question initially in the beginning was because one of the loops, you talked about a loop. The loop I have is that I was told the last thing my dad had ever said to me was, because you had a screwed up childhood, you will never get married.
Oh.
And so I am trying to break this thread, not because, I mean, I still do definitely desire a partner, not for that reason, but every single time they don't fight for me. They don't see that I'm worth it when I have a good feeling that I am worth it. He wins. And I don't want him to win. Don't want him to win. I like winning. Who does? I mean, who doesn't? But that is, and unfortunately, I'm still trying to figure out how to break that loop. It's obviously going to be on my journey. I haven't given up. I don't know if my chart says that I'm a fighter, but I haven't given up in 20 plus years for it. And at least if my legacy is I died trying to find a partner, then that will have to be my legacy. Not the one I want, but at least I went down for a positive personality characteristic. So yeah.
What do you do for work?
So I'm an office administrator, so I work in payroll. So pretty much my job is kind of like the mother hen. That's what I got called at my last job, was mother hen. Here I'm just kind of I'm the very bubbly. My nickname has been Smiley because I'm very outgoing, always a joy to be around. But yeah, I mean, obviously my role has shifted as far as the things that I do, but yeah, office administrator. I juggle multiple things at a time. I'm used to being a jack of all trades, the chief wrangler. I definitely will hunt you down for something if you haven't turned something in. But really, I mean, my career is even transformed because I've changed industries, and I've used every skill that I've got at one and apply it to another, that I've been able to do a different job, to not just be cast molded in one role, but I can say on my resume, I did different things at each of my jobs, which makes me more marketable. And I really like that. So yeah, I'm around people, and
That all sounds really in line with your 10th house in Gemini and your North Node in Gemini and all your, like you're, it sounds like you're really doing what you're supposed to be doing.
that's good because I feel lost. I feel lost.
I just
But
want to reinforce that. I think, Michelle, you really nailed an answer for that question that you asked me before about that Mercury in the 12th house. You can't think your way through this whole thing. Michelle nailed it. What you're dealing with are core beliefs. And it's subconscious stuff. You can't rationalize and intellectualize your way through that. You've got to reverse engineer them. You've got to go backwards. And you've got to dismantle them at the base so that healthier stuff can grow on top. It tends to poison everything else that goes there. So that can, yeah, absolutely nailed that, Michelle. That's what I was trying to say in my Aquarian way.
Well, I could tell. I knew you were,
You're
I knew you were
absolutely
saying
right
the
with
same
that.
thing.
What I didn't know is that you've been doing the therapy, that you had been doing the research, you had been doing the work. It also sounds like your sister's been doing it too. So it sounds like there's healing
oh,
happening
my
in your
sister?
family.
No.
What were
Oh
you
no.
talking about though when she'd had the
Yeah.
unfortunate experience with that other practitioner and so on? But it sounds
Oh
like this.
yeah,
Yeah,
she did it.
yeah,
But after that experience,
sure,
like
sure.
she will, yeah, she's gun
Oh, she
shy, and I
probably
don't
won't go
blame
back
her.
again, but there was at least there was a willingness there at least to try. That's what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
but at any rate, what your chart is saying, whatever's happening over there is happening independent of you. You need to figure yourself out, do your own work, figure out who you are, find your strength, so that you're better equipped to deal with what's happening down there in that 4th house. And it sounds like you're doing that. You're doing the reading, you're doing the work, you're doing the counseling, all of that sort of stuff. That was
Yeah.
what I was trying to say. You can't just create a belief or a thought form in your head that's going to help you fight that. You've got to go in and do the subconscious work, and it sounds like you're doing it. So kudos
That's
to you
why I
for
really
that.
want to talk to Aries people, and I want to talk to more Venus, like Libras.
Yeah.
Well, okay, not my mom, because that's a whole nother. But I mean, Libras who are very in touch with their self-worth. I would love to. I mean,
That's
somehow, some
Michael.
way.
Michaelin's
Yeah,
an awesome
there we go.
Libra
See, and
energy.
I've connected with her, and she's a delight. I love her. I talk to her every day. I do. I love it.
Thank you.
It's actually given me, I mean, I will say I've actually really enjoyed it. I've missed having someone to talk to on a daily basis. I mean, I have coworkers, but that's totally different. So, and to talk about something that like it's a passion for you. But I have that thirst for knowledge, so I love it. And I'm always telling her about damn Saturn, damn Neptune. I'm like,
And
who
I'm
do I
telling
need to
her,
call? Who do I need to
like,
call to get this out of my thing?
and I'm telling her that the relationship that she and I formed, you form a friendship first, and that's what I feel like she needs to do with whoever she's going to have a romantic relationship with. So
Yes.
the way that we treat each other is with respect. If she messages me and I'm going to be out of pocket for a little while, I'll say, well, stand by, or I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. And but she lets her guard down with me because I'm obviously a female and I'm a friend. But I feel like she needs somebody, like you guys said, that's on her level, and these guys are just not. And it's just, that's just the way it is. I mean, they're just,
Yeah.
and you just got to be careful. But the person that I think that, like Rozzy, like everybody has said, the somebody that may be a little older, a little more mature, because again, boys your age are, some of them are not, some of them are pretty advanced, but most of them are still pretty immature. You know what I mean? And I call them boys because
Yeah.
y'all will always be boys to us. So I think that with your North Node being in the ninth house and then Chiron sitting right there, that does give the idea that you're a little gun shy when it comes to talking about this stuff. Like, and as well as I do, when we talk to people about stuff like this, they might look at us like, okay, well, she's crazy, or oh my gosh, she's going to put a spell on me, or oh my gosh, she does witchcraft, and just stuff like that, because that's what people think. They don't think past they don't think past what they've been programmed. So I think that's having a bearing, and I think that now that you've found our group and you've found the astrology, an actual, you're like me, you have, if it's structured and you can go through and learn, get a certificate at the end, that's what I like to do. I like credentials. I like to go through and
I like
learn.
structure.
Yes, very much so. And you deal with the technical and you learn all of the theory and everything, and then you can apply it. But I think that the person that's going to be good enough for you is going to be somebody that you find maybe in church. Church has a lot of different definitions. There's 43,000 different religions, I think. And that's just, I'm sure there's probably even more than that. You know what I mean? So church could be a spiritual place with, it doesn't have to be the traditional, you go in and there's a bishop and all that good stuff, or a preacher or anything like that. It could be a church of just spiritual people. Obviously, you don't have to go down to the Baptist church every Sunday to believe in God. And we've had this conversation because we've talked about all this stuff. So I think that that's having, I think that's kind of in your subconscious a little bit too, as what people might think, because you are a professional and you are a big, you're kind of a big deal at your work. You have to carry yourself a certain way, and you want people to see you a certain way. And even though we know that this stuff is not evil or whatever, some people might not. And that's rejection. And that goes back to the father wound that we have discussed here recently. And nobody likes that. Nobody likes to feel that way. So, and that goes back up to the Chiron in the ninth house of spirituality. But I feel like you're going to find your voice. You're going to find the person that you're meant to be with. But I think, just like Michelle said, it's not going to be in the situations that you're looking for them now. It's going to be maybe at a get together or a festival or something with other people that are like you, that you can have a conversation with about what the moon's doing and why it's in, where Jupiter is at the moment, and that's why you feel so crazy. You want that you need a friend first. and again, like I said, we've had great conversations, and it's because with me, you don't have that guard up, but again, you got to find the right, you got to find the guy, so you do have to weed them out, but that's exhausting. So maybe looking for love in all the wrong places. Michelle, is that what we were talking about today? I think we all do that, but I think maybe you need to focus more on a place with more like-minded people, men. And I agree. I think it's going to be an older man. I don't think a man your age is going to be nearly mature enough to handle you at all. I mean, there's, it's going to be somebody that's more mature, that can actually see that, yes, she does have a boundary. You know what? She needs to have that boundary. Mature men want a strong woman, to an extent, don't get me wrong, but they want to see you set boundaries and so forth and so on. So I think that is something in your future. Just like I think Antoinette said, though, you've got to, or who, probably Michelle, one of us, you've got to get yourself there, and you've got to love yourself first. You've got to be what you want to attract. So if you're, and that's what you're going to attract. That's why we attract damaged people. That's why I attracted all those damaged people, because I was so damaged. But I figured that out. So I was able to kind of work on myself, and that's what you're doing. And if you keep doing that, you're going to get where you're going. And your Mercury being at 0 degrees tells me that you have, it's very difficult for you to filter something. Like, you probably are one of those people when something happens, you don't have to say anything, but your facial expression might be like, okay, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So I think, but that's one thing about Mercury being,
I don't play
that's
poker.
one thing of,
I love to
well, you-
banter.
House of
I love to joke
self-undoing.
around, but I'm not good at poker. Nope.
yeah,
I'm not good at
so
poker.
yeah, the House of Undoing, and even with those double zeros, I imagine when you were a young, probably a teenager or young, you probably rolled your eyes a lot. You know what I mean? So yeah, so as far as communication goes, you know, you have, that's something that in this lifetime you're going to be working on, because you don't have the filter that somebody at a 27-degree Mercury might have. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be a big deal. And it's sitting the same as your North Node, so that tells me your North Node is definitely what you need to be headed towards, and that's spirituality. I mean, you're getting this stuff. I mean, you're a natural. So that's my take on it, guys. Mic drop.
I'm a natural researcher too. I will say that, because I'm doing your course, Damien. I'm like, how am I going to retain all this? actually, I'll send it to you afterwards. I made a very pretty wheel for Leo, because I was like, you talk about interpretations in all the houses of how Leo presents itself. And so I really liked the wheel that you did initially. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make one for all of Leo. Because I'm a visual person. So I was like, I'm going to do one of those and probably do it for all of them, because I don't know how to memorize it all. Like, you guys are good. Like, I'm like,
we've had a lot of practice, first of all. But one thing I will say, you know, it can be very overwhelming, and what you're doing is great. I mean, you're jumping in and you're excited about it, and that's what's going to keep you motivated. But stick with the basics in the beginning so that you don't get burnt out and you don't get overwhelmed. And the basics are literally just the houses, the basic personal planets even. And if you just learn that stuff, you'll start to see that you're able to direct your life in the direction that you want it to go. All that other stuff's really cool, but that's advanced astrology. And like we discussed, astrology is, we will never be able to learn all of it. So, and it's neat to know all that. But that's not really, at this point, what we're trying to do is get you to know who you are, so that you can go out into the world and attract the people, whether it be friends or coworkers or acquaintances or a love or whatever. We're trying to get you to where you're able to go out there and not hear that negative voice. So all that stuff's really cool, but focusing on like Mercury and the sun and your ascendant and your Venus and all the stuff that we focused on tonight, that's where you're going to find your answers. All the other stuff is going to fall into place because you're very smart and you're able to, you know, pick up on things quickly. But I also see that you could definitely get overwhelmed, you know, Pluto in that second house. And so you do have to be
overwhelmed by the aspects. I'm sorry, but I'm not looking forward to that part.
Well, it's
but I'm just see pinball. Like, that's what.
And look, there's so much more to get overwhelmed about. You're just in the very beginning. There's so much. So that's but I think that would be everybody's advice as far as, and that's why it's cool to do this, so that we can all get together and see how we, you know, how we all read. Because it's not all of that is great to know, but this is what you look at when you look at your chart, and this is your roadmap. This is your GPS. This is your the cards you were dealt at birth. These are your default settings. Once you get to know this stuff, the aspects, the and how they interact and everything, you'll understand more once you get the basics.
That's fine with me. I like you watching.
Oh yeah, and you're doing great. You're doing great.
I dedicate an hour a day. I look forward to my hour a day. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and learn from 5 to 6. Yes, I do.
Great. That's what
Did you? What was it? You were gonna say something though about Pisces and 29th degree, because on a different chart, I think on my Placidus one, I had Pisces at 29. You were telling me yesterday, like, you know,
I said Neptune at the moment is at 29 degrees. Your Neptune is where? Your Neptune is at 28 degrees.
Same, yeah.
Right. Okay, it was not Pisces. It was the other one. Okay.
Neptune's in Pisces.
So Neptune is the modern ruler for Pisces, and Jupiter is the traditional ruler for Pisces.
Right.
So that was one of the things I was going to say, is that it's interesting that she has both her Pisces rulers together too.
Yeah.
They like each other.
Mhm.
That's great. That's great. That they're together.
One
But
thing,
the-
Kristin. Oh, sorry. I keep interrupting you.
No, I was just Neptune is now going to be at is at 29 degrees Pisces in your 7th house of relationships, and it's squaring. It's making an aspect to your natal Neptune. So once that's give it a chance, because it's tense.
Oh, it is. It's going backwards. I didn't know planets could go backwards until yesterday. Literally, like I'm sitting there cutting up carrots. I'm like, what? These things go backwards? This isn't helping me. We need to go forward. I need this out of that house. My dating life is bad, but needs to go. Like,
Yeah, nobody wants
this
Neptune
is
in
the
the
humor
7th
that I
house.
find in this stuff. I have very funny sense of humor. So,
Well,
Yeah.
Kristin, one thing to remember with all your Virgo is your mantra needs to be, there's no such thing as perfect. All the time, especially when you're trying to study astrology, because there is no such thing as perfect. And we all, like to what Michaelin just said, we all read totally differently and fixate on different things because different things resonate with us. So you learn your basics, and that's going to be the way you read astrology. There isn't like a one way. That's what I love about this group, is I always was so self-conscious about it, and I didn't think I was doing it right, but there isn't a right. Everybody sees it differently. So, and that's the beautiful thing, is you're filtering it through your own lens with all your unique stuff. So please don't get bogged down. The other thing that's very cool, actually, about you being double Virgo, many earth signs don't want anything to do with astrology. So you're like breaking the mold. Yeah, a lot of times they don't want to go there. So your Pisces moon, I think, is pulling you in, and you've got some Scorpio. So you're able to get deep, and you're able to get into that open your mind. But a lot of people who have a lot of the earth energy can't really do that. So pat yourself on the back that you're able to use all your analysis tools in a field where sometimes people aren't able to do that, so like you could do some really great work with this, because you're going to look at it from a very analytical lens.
I just love
But
learning.
just give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Yes, give yourself a break. Don't get
And I'm not
overwhelmed,
perfect at work. I will tell you that. That is one thing that is definitely I've had to work on, and like work. Like I will not be perfect. I will double check my work.
Good.
But every so often I will make it. I'm like, what? No. I'm like, all right. But I mean, like, I do allow myself to be like, okay, like, I'm not going to get it all right, but, I always find something I can learn from it to not do it again. I hate having to repeat the same mistakes. Oh, I hate it. But I know I'm not perfect by any
you give it the different branches of astrology.
There's different branches.
Yeah, right now we're just doing the stuff.
Nobody told me that.
Several lifetimes.
I'll make my own branch here. I'll tell myself I can call these
I think
planets.
you will. I think you will. I can see you doing
Good.
it. I just want to reinforce something that Michelle said. In order for astrology to be useful to you, it needs to be something that you can apply to yourself. It has to have meaning. And this is something I say to everybody, and it's something it's taken me a long time to learn. I believe 50% of astrology is your own experience and your own way of doing things. It's really, really important, because that's the language you use to communicate astrology to other people. Otherwise, we'd all be giving exactly the same reading. You will never catch up. You've got about 10,000 years of astrology behind us, and while you're studying that stuff, there's new stuff being cooked up every day. You will never catch up. So what you need to do is you need to, as you're going through the course, you were talking about this Leo wheel before, apply everything to yourself as you're going through. How do I feel about that? Can I identify that in myself? Is this talking to me? Is this not talking to me? And if it's not talking to me, why not? And things like that. Because I think in order to really, really find your own astrology and to become confident in astrology, it has to have meaning and significance to you. So keep bringing it
and that's
back to
why
yourself.
I picked out all these things in there, and I'm like, okay, let me go find a YouTube video if I'm not there yet, and see, does it really resonate with me, or does it not?
Exactly. The world's full of really, really knowledgeable astrologers who aren't good readers. There's lots of them. They know everything. And, you know, when people talk about astrology, they're generally the first ones to jump in and say, no, that's not how that works. No, that's not the right way of looking at that and stuff like that. But when it comes to reading and communicating with people, they fall over their own knowledge. It has to be personal, it has to be relatable, and it has to be something that builds bridges between people. And that begins by understanding how it applies to yourself. And I think that's what most of us are doing here, and you're seeing it happen again and again. When certain placements come up, people are talking about, oh, I've got that same placement and this is how it's working for me. I've got that, you know, and that's how that's working for me. That makes it personal. Otherwise, it's all intellectual, you know, and that doesn't really have a lot of value for people. You know, if you have to keep explaining what you're doing as you go, it's a lot of hard work. But if you make it relatable and something that people can understand, and you're talking in human terms, you know, it does the work for itself. So, and that's, I've got a lot of projects on the go right now, but once that's done, the next thing I'm going to do is rebuild that introduction to astrology course. And a lot of that I'm going to incorporate into it, you know, and make it easier to follow and make it more personal than it is, you know. So, yeah,
I still like it though.
Oh, I like
pretty
it too,
real.
but I think I've got about 8 years of feedback now, and from doing these groups and from working with people and things like that, I can see an easier way and a more intuitive way to do that, and in a way that'll open it up more to water signs and to earth signs like yourself. You know what I mean? Because that course in a lot of ways is very air, very fire. So I just want to, you know, there's more ground there. Yeah. Cool. I just wanted to reinforce what Michelle said. Your own personal experience, your own knowledge, all of that stuff needs to make a big component of it, because you know that stuff. You know what I mean? And that'll cover a confidence gap that a lot of really intellectual, very knowledgeable astrologers still can't seem to get over. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I only
too.
know this because of you, Damien. I didn't come up with any of that.
Oh, well. Thank you. It's nice feedback. Yeah. So how did we do today, Kristin? I think we covered a lot of ground.
I think you guys are amazing. Yeah, you guys are amazing at what you do. I think you guys nailed a lot. You know, obviously the spiritual thing is obviously meant to be vague for a reason, as far as my node. And so and that's my path to figure out. But no, your guys' insight was spot on. You guys are obviously very comfortable to talk to and to share more, so you guys can actually see the dots connecting. I do see a lot of myself in this. And it's going to be a very interesting journey. It really is. So no, you guys were great. You know, it's always a hard, you know, thing to figure out, like, when something's going to happen, and that's when the transits are, and that's a whole nother beast, you know. I do hope to learn from you guys in the group. You guys will be seeing my humor a lot in there, like you have probably already a little bit. No, I think it's great. I think the aspects will definitely come with time when I'm meant to hit that. I just see a lot of blue and red, and wish there was more blue than red, to be honest, you know. I can't help it. But no, I think it was great. I was curious if you'd ever seen somebody that had, you know, 17 for their sun sign, and almost like their ascending almost, you know, overlapping. So I had wondered if you'd ever seen that before when you've read charts. But no, I think you guys were great. I didn't even expect this to happen. Honestly, like, I wasn't going to have anybody to spend my birthday with, and everybody's just busy with their families. They don't celebrate, they don't do things on Mondays, which is sad. I can't control when the day lands. So this was such a beautiful treat, especially for being only like 1 week into my journey into astrology yet again. So yeah, I'm very thankful.
You're
So
welcome. It's been lovely working with you today.
Great present. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Happy birthday.
Birthday.
Happy
you're
birthday.
I celebrate all month, but so I take it in. Right? But 6:52 a.m. Yep, the party
Happy
happened.
birthday. Spend all you want. You deserve it.
That's right.
And we were hoping to do the reading before your actual birthday so that by the time your birthday got here on Monday, you would be the brand new person that I know you are after getting all of this valuable insight. I mean,
I
it really
have
does
felt
make a
that,
difference.
honestly. I
So
have felt
hopefully,
that, like in the week that I've been learning the astrology and really embracing the Venus return, because it feels foreign to do self-love and to treat myself to things. I'm really trying to just embrace it with an open mind. And it's actually been, I don't know, exciting to look forward to. It's been fun.
yeah.
And
My
something to
God.
look forward to. So
Great.
yeah, no, it's been every video that I watch, I see myself in it. And that's how I connect with it. You said like to relate. So, hopefully I give off the bubbly Libra vibes that everybody talks about, the bubbly sense of humor. My love for horror movies, is that now, there was a guess, a hypothesis, because I love horror movies. The special effects is great. How they fool me is really good. They can do that. That I have big kudos for that. Is that because of my 12th house? Because I do like to escape. I mean, movies that keep my interest, and it's like, oh my God, 2 hours. Or just is that more of a Neptune influence, or is that more of a Mercury 12th house influence, or maybe none at all? And
I don't know. Pluto and Scorpio could be a good place to start.
I was gonna
oh,
say
the god of the
Scorpio, third
underworld.
house.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good point too. Learned that from your course, yes.
I have a question for ladies in this group. Does anybody in this group follow Venus in her cycle?
No.
Venus and her
Like
sign.
going
What do you-
into the Venus cycle, the 5-point star. Anybody follows it?
A
'Cause I'm
little
trying to
bit,
know
but
about
I'm
And
working
I'm
through
telling you,
it.
I noticed that today on September 5th, she's at 8 degrees Libra, and it's the day of the third eye chakra it's all about the descent of Inanna. It's something about women. I'm
Yeah,
trying to learn.
Sarah, it's a Babylonian story of how she
Yes.
goes into the underworld, and I think the story of Isis also mirrors. Is it Isis? Yeah, Isis and Osiris follows that, and she comes up on the other side. So Venus is in the western, is shows up in the western side now, and then so she descends, and then later on she's going to come up in the eastern side. There's a whole
That's
situation that in terms
right. Well,
of
that's
Venus.
what you need to get into, Kristin, because today, the very day, she's actually opening her third eye chakra. So it's tied in with what we're doing right now. September 5th, 8 degrees, because I have the whole list of where she's going. As she goes in her descent, she takes off something and she activates her chakras. So get into that.
Cool. Well, I know it's sometime tomorrow morning around like 10 something in the morning is when it's going to be exact. It's going to be aligned exactly. My natal and my transit Venus are going to be lined up tomorrow, which is very weird. I already had my hair planned, had my hair appointment planned for tomorrow, like 2 months without even knowing I would be here. So that's why I'm like, well, I'm already getting the hair done. We're getting this done, like, okay, I can embrace this size. I'm fun. So
I hope
tired.
you're going to go out. You better put yourself out there, girl. Go out to a coffee shop, go out somewhere you normally hang out, bookstore. Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Yes, like
the hair, done your nails, done your hands, done your face,
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, that's the plan for tomorrow.
All right. Friday, tomorrow's Venus Day.
how about that?
Wow.
That's the whole month. That's why I'm saying my pocketbook's getting a little bit lighter because I'm splurging.
Venus square Jupiter. We saw that.
No. Guilty.
I see here. But next year, everything will be all right. All right. Well, it was a lot of fun meeting you.
It
Lovely to
was.
meet
Thank
you
you
today.
so much. I love meeting all of you. You guys were so sweet. Thank you.
We're doing this every month, so hey, drop in anytime
Really?
you want. Yeah, we do this every month for different people. If somewhere down the line you want another reading, we can come back and do that as well. So you're welcome to join in. for these chart
Oh,
reading groups
cool.
monthly as well. There's a planet workshop next week. We're working with Jupiter. So that's a Zoom workshop that's coming
Jupiter.
up. We have something new, a couple of new things in the pipeline too. So watch this
Will
space.
you be posting in the group about it? I mean, I'm
Yes,
curious about it.
absolutely.
I don't know about the workshop. Oh, will?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Michaelin is our MC. She's our boss. So
Yeah.
Very good boss.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, in Michaelin we trust.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I love it, man.
You guys are awesome. I love y'all.
So yeah, this
All
stuff happening soon. We'll be doing this again in a month, so you're more than welcome to come. There'll be notice before. Michaelin's really good at making sure everybody's notified and wrangling people
That's
in and all
cool.
of that. It's lovely to see some faces today I haven't seen for a while too. It's lovely to see you, Michelle. Great to see you too, Sydney. And always good to see everybody else who's making the time to come in and share this group with us as well. Lovely to see you, Antoinette, Razi, everybody else who's come here today, you know, and made this day special for Kristin. So thanks,
Oh,
everybody.
thank you guys.
It really works on that, you know.
I hope to
everybody's-
watch you guys in action next time to see how you guys do
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
You know, so you guys.
you'd
Well,
even
why
join
don't-
Man,
in,
it's
you know,
so
weigh in.
exciting.
Yeah.
No,
You
we
know what
expect
works
next
in these
time for
groups
you to
too is-
join in.
Yeah, just join in.
Good.
Even if you're not sure how somebody did something, one thing, Crystal's often in these groups as well, and she's never shy with questions, and questions go a long way because a lot of other people, sometimes people, see, we've got different reading styles. Antoinette's reading style is so different to mine, and she has insights that I never have. So I'm often interested to see how she's got to where she got to. So you know, questions are just as valuable as answers and feedback. So, you know, join in.
Awesome.
Guess who's coming?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to stop recording at this point, but today's been a wonderful, wonderful group. Thanks for all being a part of this. And we'll all catch up again next month. Remember, there's a workshop next week too for anybody who's interested. We're going to be dealing with Jupiter. So,
Okay,
thanks,
great.
everyone. I'm
Yeah,
going to
thank you.
stop
Take
recording,
care.
but I'm not kicking
Bye.
everybody else out. If you want to leave, that's
I gotta go because I gotta.
no worries,
Thanks.
Antoinette. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah,
Bye,
bye.
Okay.
y'all.
See
Thanks.
ya.
Bye,
I can't.
everybody.
Where do I get out of
Thank
this?
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.